Now, all we have to do is find the...
Shh.
Alright, all we gotta do is get to that switch without waking up those chihuahuas. Couldn't be any simpler.
We'll have to sneak through. Stand back and watch a master of living room traversal at work.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Over the Hedge, and we are here in the Connor's house, and there are puppies, and you mustn't wake the pups, or they will yap, and then you will die. But luckily, unfortunately this family likes to keep their, chips and cookies and DVDs on top of their shelves, so you gotta do a little hopping. And I really wanted to break this pot, but I was pretty sure that doing so would wake up the pups. Doesn't seem to be super consistent what does and doesn't wake up the pups, and also I'm just noticing now that that plant pot was a ruse and was actually to hit you. Anyway, yeah, this is an extremely elaborate trap system here, where you have the red lights going up and down, and if you get them, then the plant shoots you, and then if you're knocked back, then you're also on the little bit of the carpet that's electrified. And so, yeah, the Connors are really... they're serious about their shit. They don't want no animals taking their snackies, which I can understand, I guess. That's like, I think I've talked a little bit about it, and I think that's the first time that I have ever hit one of those mouse traps in this run, although I might be wrong. I love breaking the shit on the counter. I've already talked before about how one of my favorite things to do in video games is to break shit open. And in general, when I was a child, I just really I liked movie scenes where people would like just tear apart rooms or where there was destruction. That was one of the first things. I've talked before about how when I was a kid, I would watch animated movies and watch all the behind-the-scenes featurettes and the audio commentaries to learn how they did stuff. And on the off chance that I was watching a live-action movie's bonus features, one of my favorite things to learn about was the logistics of how they do, like, destruction scenes. And not like, you know, wide-scale city destruction that you would just do with CG now, but like, whenever they needed just something to break open realistically. One of the best ones, and I don't think it's that great of a movie, but I think the craft in a lot of the scenes, in terms of the set pieces and the, like how it's put together and how the visual effects are put together, especially for the time. But a movie that I always think of with that is Looney Tunes Back in Action, which again, like I said, I don't necessarily think is a good movie. But I really like, I like all of the breakdowns of how they did all the effects in the movie, but my two favorites are the one where the Warner Brothers water tower, which I was devastated to learn later in life, has not been filled with water for decades, and is in fact just a prop, which I guess I should have expected, but I was a child and I saw it in a movie and I was like, oh, that's why else would you have a water tower if not to have water? But yeah, they made like a scale model of the water tower and then shot it from a bunch of angles in slow motion, and that was pretty cool. But then my favorite is the casino scene. If you haven't seen the movie, there's a lengthy scene where there's like a fist fight in the, I don't know when I woke the dogs. I think that might have been RJ. I always thought that the, like, don't trigger a motion sensor or a trap thing only applied if it was your character doing it, but I guess not all the time. Or maybe I woke them and I just didn't notice, because I was pretty sure that if you wake them up, it's, like, instantaneous, everyone comes in. Oh, this part's funny.
Where we run, right?
I love the everybody shaking their head in unison. That's a funny little thing. This game is funny sometimes. It's probably as funny or funnier on a similar, like, scale time-wise as the movie is. You know, like, the movie has a handful of good jokes within 90 minutes, and this one has a couple handfuls of good jokes over the course of, like, 8 hours. Yeah, the part where, like, you know, and it's animated characters fighting live action characters in that scene, and so they had to, just them talking about how they had to pre-break everything in the scene and then put it back together, and then those on wires where they would break apart and they had to time it with when the animated character was going to be going through it and everything. And there's just so many, all these things that are only like 2-second long jokes, they actually, like, went to the trouble of making it an in-camera effect, and even for, like, a kind of mediocre movie like that, it's nice to even think about now, because there's so many things that could just be, you know, made into a shortcut by a, I would think, honestly, much more, like, hard to wrap your head around and much more expensive computer effects, but I guess I'm not entirely right. And yeah, here's where the moles in this game get really goddamn annoying. Because they be setting these bombs right under your loot. But yeah, I don't think I make it to the end with the 50%. I know I've said this before, but I've completely abandoned the whole, you know, secondary objectives thing. Maybe I'll do it again, but it would just be going and backtracking. I've already said this, I don't need to explain myself again, nobody cares. And I definitely, the perspective on some of these levels, that's one of my main complaints with, like, more generally about this game, is the camera. It needs to be in very specific places to follow the action, because, like, only specific areas are playable and everything, and where they want you to actually go. And there's not really a whole lot visually discerning, like, the play area versus just what's around. But, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I was a big fan of shit breaking apart. It's just good fun to watch. I love good kinetic stuff, and, you know, breaking things in video games is fun. I wanted to talk more about, because I feel like I haven't, like, done it justice or, like, explained exactly what I mean when I talk about my whole mid-2000s, how 2006 is permanently etched into my brain. 2006 is just the year I think about all the time. I briefly mentioned Barnyard and Ant Bully. That's an example of something from 06 that, you know, just is permanently in my mind now forever. I talked in the Spyro LP about old IMDb, because I think 2005, 2006 was the year that I learned about IMDb. And I want to say it was then, because I remember when I learned about IMDb, the first movie that I searched for, at least the first one I remember searching for, was The Shaggy Dog with Tim Allen, which was, like, going to be coming out in a matter of months at the time. And that came out on March 10th, 2006, and I know that because it came out on my birthday, and I went to see it on my birthday. It's not a very good movie. But the whole reason was I knew it came out on March 10th, and I already had become privy, and the IMDb thing helped me deepen this knowledge even more, but I already knew that movies were typically released on a Friday. And so, you know, you just go forward in a calendar on your computer or whatever, and you find out when your birthday is going to be on a Friday, and that's the year that movies are going to come out on your birthday. And yeah, some of these chips, like, you have to, like, jump to get or something, or, yeah, like, I don't know. Like I said, the depth perception in a lot of these levels is strange. This is a neat little mini game, though. It's fun to get all the chips. I get extremely close to getting all of them, as you will see, and then I infuriatingly did not get all of them, but what are you gonna do? Vern is just getting his ass beat, so I'm RJ now because I don't want to be the guy with no health. But yeah, and I kind of hate IMDb now. I still look at it from time to time when I need some general information. There's information about movies and stuff that's on IMDb that isn't as readily accessible on Letterboxd, at least not the free version, even though I vastly prefer Letterboxd as an app for looking up stuff about movies, like seeing reviews of movies, logging your movies. It's the main thing. It's really good for logging and tracking your movie watching. But yeah, I always like to look at the quotes. My favorite thing to do, one of my favorite things to do on IMDb as a kid, I was look at the memorable quotes section for movies that had swearing in them that I couldn't watch, and then I'd read them and be like, oh my god, they're saying fuck so many times. Like I can't even imagine having a movie where they say fuck this many times. And also having a ton of jokes that I just did not understand, obviously. I also look at parents' guides in my lower moments. I would, as a young boy. This is when I was like 8 or 9. I wasn't like jacking off or anything. It wasn't quite that bad. But when you have a lot of older siblings and you overhear or you hear about movies and shows that either because of swearing or violence or sex you can't watch them, and you become intrigued, and then you find out that there's this website where you can just have listed all of the objectionable content in a movie, and so I'd read those, and I'd read about how bare breasts or whatever, and be like, oh wow, sure sounds like a good movie. And now I don't do that. I just watch those, and it's not as doesn't feel as scandalous, of course. Anyway, but yeah, that was me when I was a child. So yeah, here we're getting into the theme park saga, with this ringmaster who I was very unsettled by as a child.
What's going on around here? All clear. Let's hit it.
And this is the reason why this video is a little bit longer than the other ones have been so far, because as you can see, the Connor heist escape was not super long compared to the other ones. It's actually, the escape part is actually a lot easier than the other escape missions, all things considered, but I sucked balls at the one secondary objective in it, so did just about as well as I did on any of the other ones. But yeah, these are like, I like these as these levels here, the mini golf, and then the next one is the roller coaster. I like these levels as concepts, but it's one of the times where I feel like the game itself is very limiting. But I don't know. And I was going to say like 10 minutes ago while we were still in the Connor house that, and I was commenting on the ridiculousness of the traps that the humans lay, which the game itself also comments on. I do find funny and admire the, like, anti-anthropocentrism of this game, and to a certain extent the Over the Hedge movie as well, but I wish that either of them included, like, any sort of satire of suburban culture and consumerism or whatever that was, like, more compelling. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I'd have to rewatch it and like take a closer look at those elements of it, but I don't really remember the story being incredibly strong. And yeah, I sped up a few parts of this level that are really repetitive and not interesting to watch, just so this thing isn't, like, over a half hour long. Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to see that trap or how those cages materialize out of the ground, but it's a cartoon video game, so I guess don't need to worry about it. And while it's not, like, you know, shooting or, like, gory or anything, sometimes I am taken aback by, like, the implied amount of violence in this game. I guess it's not totally implied because it is happening, but I mean, like, just the fact that you're just bashing these, like, woodland creatures over the head, like, dozens of times with, I mean, hammers and, like, really hard things. These things, I don't know what they have here. I think they're supposed to be back scratchers. I can't imagine those would be super effective weapons even against small animals, but whatever. Just whacking them in the head until this, I'm assuming, quite painful, you know, mind control helmet is whacked off and they are knocked out by it. I don't know. It's funny. That's not all my commentary is today. It's just me saying some things and then being like, I don't know. I'm turning into Joe Biden, where I start having a thought, I start saying something out loud, and then like 2 minutes have gone by and I'm talking about something and I've like kind of forgotten what my point is, or like I've realized that it's going nowhere, or that like this wasn't even worth bringing up, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That's my favorite thing that he does by far, is just like openly just being like, shit, never mind, just don't forget about that. Oh man, that owns. Oh man, I don't need to talk anymore about how we're living in a dying empire, because I talk about it a lot already, and I mean, you all know, you're all here. Well, not all of you, some of you live in other countries, but it's not going awesome everywhere. Basically. Even the places that are handling it the best are still not having a great time. So, yeah. But, you know, one of the saving graces is that both of the principal... I wouldn't even say principal characters, because, like, right now I feel like the election isn't in the forefront of everyone's mind as much. It was a little bit more this week because Trump was saying that he's gonna delay the election or whatever, but it's still kind of I feel like most people's minds are still on the more immediate problems, such as the looming / ongoing eviction crisis that is unfolding before us. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to be living through a period of time that you are aware in your head that, like, the ramifications of it will be, you know, felt for many years. I don't know. It's just strange to process. It's hard to really care or think about anything on, like, a shorter term or smaller scale with that in mind. Like, I've been, you know, expelling a lot of energy into job stuff lately, like trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I mean, I already, like, hate, you know, I haven't had to write any cover letters. That's nice, or write any applications, but filling out forms, doing online trainings and shit like that, like all that shit that comes with getting a new job, especially like a complicated or public job. It's already hard to really like motivate yourself to care about for hours on end. Every day, without everything being the way it is, and it's just even more so now. And I really wish that the aiming for these things was a little bit better, because if you have two things on the opposite side of the screen and you want to get something in the middle of the screen, it's just going to go to one of the two things. I mean, I get why they do that. It's good that it locks on to enemies, but I just wish that once you moved it away, you could unlock it. I don't know. I feel like this game could have had a Wii release. I don't think the Wii was out yet, because this was May 2006, and I think the Wii came out in November 2006. Oh yeah, this you'll see this happen a number of times in this level and the next one. Not, I don't die the other times. This time was really bullshit, but yeah, great thing about that enemy is that it can just pin you, and because you can't move while you're getting hit, it will, hold on, I'm fucking with something. Okay, I'm just gonna like not restart or anything. I'm just gonna keep it going. If you're wondering what I was doing, I was fixing my monitor because it randomly shut off, and I was trying to figure out why, and I just unplugged the plug going from the monitor to the power and plugged it back in. And holy fucking shit, it's hot in this room. And yeah, speeding this up because it's just fighting a billion bunnies and it's not fun to watch. Anyway, yeah, I was saying the spinning barrel things, they can just pin you, and because you can't move when you're being hit by them, they can just continuously hit you until you die like that. Or they can like knock you back and then you can't jump. You have to wait until they deactivate until you can hit them. They're just a really fun and awesome enemy when you have these arbitrarily like defined areas. I guess they're less arbitrary here because it's like you don't fall off, because I guess this I'd have to think this is a pretty small golf course, because like these are supposed to be walkways, and I mean, I know we're small, but like how small are these buildings? Because the people are much bigger than us. I don't know. Or if this is like maintenance, but even then, I mean, people are expected to be on it, so I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. And I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I'm trying to get up to get that vulture. And what do you know? I did it, and it gave me a can of soda. Thanks, guy. Oh, boy. Yeah, yeah, I thought I had more stuff to say, but then the monitor fucked up, and now I don't remember. This video is going just swimmingly. It's not going too bad. I like that pointing finger. Here's a badger. It's strange how there's several places where they treat the badger as like, oh yeah, the badger can also just pin you and endlessly hurt you. It's awesome. There's lots of enemies like that, and it's kind of a big barrel of dog shit, but you get over it eventually when you're recording the video. But yeah, it's weird there are some places in the game where they treat the badger like a mini-boss, but then there's others times where there's just like 5 of them and they're normal enemies. And I mean, they are. They're a little more annoying because there are certain times where you just arbitrarily can't hurt them. And again, because they can pin you against a wall and just lunge at you forever, and the exact amount of time that it takes for them to start lunging at you again is the amount of time that it takes for you to stop being stunned and not taking damage. So yeah, fun for the whole family, as I've already talked about. Thank you for accidentally hitting golf, and I almost just completely fucked myself there. I honestly do not know how I managed to save myself, but I did it. And this edit coming up here is just because I backtracked as far back as I could, which is not very far, because I noticed that I was missing one of the 4 coolers. I do not know where it is. I guess I missed it. I am poop ass at this game, apparently, but it doesn't matter. Next time we'll be going on to the roller coaster tracks and then facing off with Mr. Scary Mustache Man. See you then for that.